A new trend in running is to ditch those Nikes and go barefoot. Barefoot runners Chris Magotsky and Tracy Thomas are both here to tell us all about this. Thanks for joining us. Chris, talk about, we've just been starting doing this a couple years ago, and kind of what inspired you, and we'll talk about this book too.
Yeah, for the five-finger shoes, I was definitely inspired by this book by Christopher McDougall. Came out last year, Born to Run. It talks about these Tarahumara Indians down in the Copper Canyons of Mexico who run in these huaraches that are handmade with usually some kind of a used tire in the bottom with just some leather straps to go up the side, and they'll run 40, 50 miles a day through the trails in the canyons there. And now there's actually a race down there, which is what the book's about. I read about that, and then one of the characters in there is called Barefoot Ted. He actually runs barefoot and in sandals. And Vibram came out with a bunch of these five-finger shoes. So this is one example of the five-finger shoes. And I started running in those last year. I've been doing a little bit of barefoot running on and off, kind of like Tracy has, probably for about 5 or 6 years, just a little bit here and there.
And Tracy, what made you switch to barefoot?
Some of the classes that I was going to for my credentials for my personal training business were addressing the fact that our feet had gotten so weak being in supportive shoes, and they started discussing the benefits of doing some of your workouts, not only running but weightlifting shoeless, in order to build up the muscles in the feet. But it has to be a very gradual process.
And talk about that. So someone shouldn't just go out and start doing this tomorrow, get the shoes and run, you know, at a 10K or something like that.
You want to do it very sparingly at first. You can go and get the shoes tomorrow, but start out 100 yards at a time, maybe at the end of a run, or start just trying them walking around the house, because your feet have, the muscles in your feet have atrophied being in a shoe that's got this much stability, and the heel is so built up that if you were to just get these and start running in these, when the heel gets lowered, you put so much stress on the Achilles tendon that you can end up with an Achilles tendonitis or any other variety of injury in the foot from doing too much too soon.
Good advice. Chris, talk about these different types of shoes we have out here. Obviously, this is the traditional.
Yeah, this is sort of the, well, I guess the traditional or old school shoe. And you can see the built-up heel. They often have support, so it has some stability that you don't roll in. These are what we would call maybe minimalist footwear, racing flats and other shoes. These are actually more like aqua socks that Tracy runs in. But look at the difference between the heel lift here. There's almost no heel lift, and here there's a huge glob of stuff underneath. People end up doing this kind of a heel strike with the foot and the whole knee out, and I guess all the energy gets returned back, and you have shock all the way through your body. So instead of moving to straight barefoot or a five-finger shoe, you might want to try something that's a little bit in between, this sort of minimalist racing flat. Here's another one that actually comes from Finland, from Fieldmax. There's almost no heel lift at all. It's flat the whole way.
So where would your foot hit there?
You're going to hit the forefoot.
On the ball.
So same with the, if you're barefoot or in one of these shoes, you're going to land like this. Your heel might just touch, and you kind of get this springing motion that goes like this. And your foot, your ankle, your calf will absorb all of that impact force. So you're not going to have this jarring force coming up all the way across your body.
Tracy, you would get injuries before when you ran regular shoes, and how has this changed the way your body has absorbed that shock?
Not that these old school shoes don't have a lot of absorption. They do. The trouble with that is that your foot can't sense the ground as it's meant to. And if you were to step on a little pebble or rock or whatever, when you're barefoot, you sense that, and you know ahead of time, I'm barefoot, this could hurt. So you automatically change your gait, and you want to land more flat-footed to spread out the weight across the foot, and you land underneath yourself and then kick out behind. When you have a big heel like this and all this protection, people tend to overstride and hit with the heel out here, because there's not going to be any pain. You can hit a rock with your heel, you won't feel it. Okay, so when if you knew I'm going to be barefoot and I got to run across here, you tend to run more gingerly. And you shorten your stride, you land underneath yourself and stride out behind you. But one thing I do want to say is, while Chris and I love this and we advocate it and we want people to try it and see how it will improve their running form, there are people that shouldn't do this. There are people that do have, you know, a sufficient problem with their foot and shouldn't do this. I don't want any of the local podiatrists thinking, oh my gosh, you know, what are they talking about? But thanks, because they'll all be coming to me when they get hurt. Not everybody should do this, and anybody
talk to
that
a trainer or someone like that first.
Yes, exactly.
And go slow. It's got to be a gradual transition. You don't go from this to complete barefoot or this overnight.
I think we have some video to show too of Chris, you training yesterday, and you actually run completely barefoot too.
I do some of that, yes, that's true. And Tracy does as well. I do more of my completely barefoot running at Lake of the Woods Trails in Mahomet because it's kind of a smooth dirt grass path.
And there you're wearing the 5-finger, showing it off what it looks like there.
Yep.
You are running a little bit more gingerly, like not the typical, I don't know, it looks like you are compensating, not to compensate, but it does look like a different stride.
Yep, no pain.
And for someone, okay, to me, I'm a little skeptical on the completely barefoot, especially when you say trail runs. You don't mind the roots, the little pebbles, and all of that.
Well, I mind the big gravel that you might come across. But you run, as Tracy said, you're looking and you're paying attention and you're taking shorter strides. So your foot automatically senses real quick if there's something wrong, and you kind of lift off and go a little bit lighter. So it's not bad.
And here's a minimalist trail shoe that would have a little more protection, and also it has a little more tread for gripping on the trail, but yet it is a minimalist shoe. The heel is no higher than the forefoot, so you're still running as if you were barefoot, your foot lands flat on the ground. There isn't a heel rise to it.
Okay, very interesting. Tracy Thomas, Chris Magotsky, thank you both so much for being here and bringing all these shoes, educating us about this and the trend of the future, right? And also the book Born to Run. Thanks for your time. We're going to put this, there's a Clinton Lake 30-mile trail run this weekend, too, and you guys have a special incentive for people who run it barefoot?
Yeah, people that run either in 5-finger shoes or barefoot, there's some special extra prizes for them. So they're eligible for the regular prizes in the age groups, but then there'll be some extra prizes that Tracy has actually made as a local artist.
Oh, very nice. Okay, you can check that out at secondwindrunningclub.org. All their other events listed there, too. And, of course, the Illinois Marathon, Christie Clinic Marathon coming up May 1st, too. Still time to sign up. The half marathon and the relay have completely sold out, but if you still want to do the 5K or the full, log on to IllinoisMarathon.com. That's where they take volunteers for all this as well. And you can see this interview again at IllinoisHomepage.net. Click on the morning show and turn to you. Enough internet websites for you. Coming up next, the Reese Report, and you still have time to weigh in on our topic of the day. Click on your turn when you go to our website. We want to know what you think about the fans not really getting to their feet in the first half of the game last night. Did they do enough to help spur on the Illini to a win? We're going to read those in just a bit.